Good afternoon. This is James Exum coming to you from my studio in South Austin, Texas. It's Tuesday, August the 18th at approximately 2:45 p.m. My latest video I'm about to present is called Who Lit the Match? It's a rather interesting program. I hope you enjoy it. And here we go.
The witness to history. Who lit the match? James H. Exum. Austin, Texas. Copyrighted August 16th, 2026. All rights reserved. Now Pete Hegseth is asking for about $1.5 trillion. $1,500 billion for the next War Department budget, described as the highest single-year defense request since World War II. The average American does not need a degree in economics to understand this. When war grows, the bill comes home. Exum. When history tells the story of the Iran War, one question will stand out above all the noise, above all the speeches, and above all the excuses. Who lit the match? That question will not be asked by politicians sitting behind polished desks. It will be asked by mothers, fathers, soldiers, children, and citizens who had to live with the fire after powerful men finished talking. War does not begin with smoke. It begins when pride, fear, anger, and ambition are allowed to dry out the ground. Then one spark falls, and the world acts surprised that everything is burning. The match over Iran was not struck in one day. It had a long fuse. The world watched it burn through nuclear disputes, sanctions, threats, missile tests, proxy wars, assassinations, cyber attacks, oil lane pressure, religious declarations, and proud leaders who spoke more about force than peace. By the time open war came, the wood had already been stacked. Somebody may have struck the match, but many hands helped build the fire. The immediate spark was the great military strike by Israel and the United States against Iran. That strike hit leadership, nuclear sites, command centers, air defenses, and missile systems. Iran answered with missiles and drones, and the shadow war became an open war. That must be said plainly. A first blow carries a heavy moral burden, because once the first blow is thrown, no leader can honestly claim he still controls the fire. But we must not confuse the spark with the fuel. Iran was not an innocent child standing in a peaceful room. Its rulers helped create the danger. They armed forces beyond their borders, threatened Israel, built missiles, pushed their nuclear program, and used fear as a tool of power. Israel looked at Iran and saw a threat to its survival. The United States looked at Iran and saw a danger to its allies, the region, and the world's oil lanes. Iran looked at America and Israel and saw enemies determined to weaken it. Each side claimed defense. Each side spoke of security. Each side helped make peace harder to reach. So who lit the match? It was lit by leaders who chose escalation when diplomacy still had breath in it. It was lit by men who mistook strength for stubbornness and security for domination. It was lit by those who believed they could drop fire on another nation and keep the flames from crossing the border. It was lit by those who counted targets before they counted lives. This is how nations get trapped. One side says, "We had no choice." The other side says the same thing. One leader says he acted to prevent a greater evil. Another leader says he must answer insult with strength. Soon every man is carrying a torch while telling the people he is only trying to keep them warm. That is not wisdom. That is the old deceit of war dressed in the language of necessity. The match was also lit by silence. Some nations warned, but did not restrain. Some allies counseled caution, while still feeding the war machine. Some opponents condemned one strike and celebrated another. Commentators turned the coming fire into talking points. Citizens, tired from too many crises, looked away until the cost came home in higher prices, deeper fear, new graves, and another generation taught the whistling sound of incoming missiles. Let us be clear. Many hands may prepare a war, but the hand that strikes first must answer for striking first. Preventive war is a dangerous doctrine. It allows a government to kill today because of what it says might happen tomorrow. If every nation accepts that rule, then peace is no longer a covenant among nations. It is only a pause granted by the strongest army. Still, Iran's rulers cannot wash their hands and call them clean. A government that threatens neighbors, funds armed groups, builds fear into its diplomacy, and silences its own people gives its enemies the very argument they desire. Power built on menace may look strong for a season, but menace invites more menace. In the end, the poor, the young, the worker, the mother, and the soldier pay the bill. The deeper truth is this: matches are not only lit by enemies, they are lit by habits. The habit of treating compromise as weakness. The habit of rewarding loud men over wise men. The habit of wrapping national pride so tight that no leader can bend without feeling broken. The habit of dragging God, history, and patriotism into every quarrel until war begins to sound holy. Even the name of the war house matters. When a nation begins to speak of the Department of Defense as the Department of War, it is not only changing a sign on a wall, it is changing the sound in the national mind. Defense speaks of guarding what is entrusted to us. War speaks of striking, conquering, and proving strength. A country must be careful when its language begins to march before its conscience has finished praying. A new name can become a new permission slip. That same spirit shows itself when leaders begin talking about testosterone as though courage, discipline, and moral judgment can be measured only in blood levels. Testing for health is one thing. Treating soldiers as machines to be tuned for maximum aggression is another. A republic should want healthy service members, yes, but it should also want restrained service members, thoughtful commanders, and civilian leaders who understand that biology is no substitute for wisdom. A higher hormone reading does not make a war just, and it does not make a bad order righteous. History has already warned us about the danger of trying to manufacture the perfect fighter. During World War II, Nazi Germany gave many of its troops Pervitin, a form of methamphetamine, to keep them awake, moving, and hardened for battle. Those drugs could push the body past fatigue and fear, but they could not make the cause decent. They could quicken the march, but they could not cleanse the mission. The lesson is not that medical care is evil. The lesson is that when a nation treats the human body as another weapon system, it may gain speed while losing its soul. The money tells its own sermon. By the latest public estimates, this war has already cost America tens of billions of dollars in direct military expenses, with one serious estimate placing the Pentagon's added war cost around $40 billion and broader independent counts putting the total burden above $100 billion when the wider costs are included. Put plainly, that is money for missiles, ships, planes, fuel, repairs, deployments, and damage control. It is also money that could have repaired schools, lowered medical bills, strengthened families, or eased the load on working people. If there is any hope after such a war, it must begin with truth. We must ask whether diplomacy was truly exhausted or merely inconvenient. We must ask whether intelligence was handled honestly or shaped to support a decision already made. We must ask whether leaders counted the lives that would be lost before they counted the advantage to be gained. We must ask whether they sought peace with the same energy they had to prepare war. History shall one day name the presidents, prime ministers, generals, clerics, and commanders who gave the orders. But the larger answer is already before us. The match was lit by arrogance joined to fear. It was lit when leaders decided that war could settle what statesmanship failed to solve. It was lit when human life became a number on a planning sheet instead of the sacred trust of government. And when the smoke clears, the people left behind will not be comforted by clever explanations. They will not ask whether the war was messaged correctly or justified with official language. They will ask why the match was ever brought near the powder kegs or the elementary schools. They will ask who had the power to step back and did not. They will ask why so many saw the fire coming and still called it political strategy.
And there it is. That was not one of my more positive videos, but it did entail positive, checkable facts. The old saying, war is hell, is as pertinent today as it was the first time it was pronounced. If you liked this video, that's good. Liked it for its truthfulness and its informative information, its informative style. If you didn't care for it all, that's okay too. Those that did think of it as being a positive thing, please pass it on to your friends and family. This is James Exum. Thank you for your time and interest. Good day.